mostly prepared. I am Chad. With me, as always, is the son of Greg's. Welcome, everyone.
It's
And
me.
Greg, how you doing, buddy?
I am super good. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic. Apart from allergy season and stiff back, all the fun stuff.
Yeah, same. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Said nobody ever. The end.
Oh man. Well, glad to have you on
Yes.
on a Wednesday. You're here and we didn't have to reschedule. So
Yes.
dubs for everyone.
Dubs for everyone, though my kids and family were trying their hardest to make me not be on. I poured this lovely glass of juice an hour and a half ago and have yet to have one sip out of it. So, cheers. Ah, good grape juice. Delicious.
I was just sorry. I was trying to get the links for the show
Yeah.
to share, and I clicked on it, and it's coming up as a reel. So,
Nice. Very solid.
and I don't know how to mute you, and I don't. I guess that's how I'm monitoring the show tonight is via a reel. I don't know. God
What?
bless Meta.
Oh god, that sounds like just the best.
But we're doing well in Meta, and you guys are. Ooh. Apparently, we have a lifestyle bonus opportunity.
Wait, what? I missed that.
If you go into like our monetization back end,
Yeah.
and usually when it just shows you what you've done for the month or whatever so far,
Uh-huh.
and then there's something other it. So it was like, sorry, totally,
We have a new bonus.
yeah, for lifestyle, whatever the
Nice. We're definitely a lifestyle blog.
coming soon, coming live as we wander around random small towns in New Jersey next week.
Yeah. Man, let me get my girl influencer voice going. Come with me as I go on this drive to the best place in New Jersey. It has amazing bagels you'll never believe are actually real.
And we've lost all of our car community.
Oh God. Or we've gained thousands of followers on the girl blog side.
I don't know. I don't think you. I don't think you meet the visual.
I don't think either of us do.
That's weird. Oh, of course not. I mean, I'm
Hang on,
only.
let me get my let me get my fedora large fedora hat, my pumpkin spice latte, and my UGG boots with leggings.
Yeah, I'm only an A cup, so. But
Oh my god, amazing.
remember
Let's talk cars.
when I
and
said about us
not
being
just-
prepared, and
Yeah.
and, and by pumpkin spice you mean sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and more sugar. Have you ever smelled the inside of a pumpkin? It smells like an old sweaty gas.
Yeah,
You don't
it's
like
just-
pumpkin. You like cinnamon toast crunch latte.
that's pretty accurate. Cinnamon toast crunch smoothies. That's what pumpkin spice latte is.
Who knows? Maybe Greg is drinking box O wine.
I'm not drinking box O wine, though. Box O wine sounds awesome, and I need that.
We should. I actually have contacts in the wine industry. Coming soon to you, crate of wine.
Yeah, what are some of the most awkward units of measure? Like what's the meme? Like the U.S. will use anything except the metric system.
Goddamn right. When they make it to the moon, we'll consider it.
That's right. It was like that's that one Family Guy scene where it's like a hammock of cheese. What's a hammock of cheese? Where am I going to get that?
Or when I saw, what was it? One post was going on, and they were saying an asteroid an asteroid the size, or roughly the size of one half of a giraffe, will make near Earth orbit. And the top comment was, of all the things to use, you use giraffe. Which half? It's wildly different.
Right, but also like half of a giraffe. There are other animals that size of half of a giraffe. Use that fucking animal. Oh my god. That's just actually insane.
Listen, if you're going to sit here and insist we use measurements divisible by 10, you can get right the F out.
Oh my god, that's so stupid.
So, Greg.
Hi.
Question for you. And not so much of a question as more of a confirmation of what we already know. You enjoy a good 5-cylinder.
Oh, that I do, sir. I wish this car behind me had a 5-cylinder.
Well, it could. You just got to remove a plug.
Well, true. It's a glorious inline 6. But there's really nothing else that sounds like a really good inline 5, I'll be honest. Like, it's not the best sounding motor in the world, but it's top 5, I would say.
The engine in your car?
No, a good sounding inline 5.
Oh, right. Yes. You are speaking sense for once in your career. Of course, you take a 6-run lead. Now there's 2 on with no out. At any rate,
why, pray tell, do you ask this question, good sir?
I'm watching the Mets game. No, because the last 5-cylinder in production right now, as most, if not everyone knows, which at this point looks like it's only Sean.
Nice.
Is the 5-cylinder turbocharged engine that comes in the RS3 or the Audi TT RS. And it is a glorious engine. It sounds great, makes good power, and they are eminently moddable. 1,000 plus horsepower out of 2.5 liters.
Yes.
Epic engine. Well, according to Autocar, a special Golf R, so that's a Volkswagen Golf, famous for not being an Audi, celebrating the car's 25th anniversary, could get the 5-cylinder engine from the current Audi RS3. It would almost certainly mean a major bump in horsepower too, as the current EA 888 4-cylinder, which I'm assuming is the Golf R's 4-cylinder engine, I don't speak Volkswagen, only makes 328 horsepower, and the RS3 reaches over 400. You're a tune, a downpipe, and some intake bits away from 500 in those. Which I'm here for. We talked last week about how Volkswagen will charge you a subscription fee for horsepower. Mm-hmm. And it's screw you, Volkswagen. That's just one of the subscription things are biblically stupid. However, they come back and they're like, hey, check out this. And I'm suddenly interested in the Volkswagen Golf as I wasn't before.
Yes.
You enjoy a good Volkswagen. What are your thoughts?
I do enjoy a good Volkswagen. Honestly, I love the Golf R. And if that thing comes with a 5-cylinder and it's reasonably priced, it won't be. I would for sure trade my car in for it. I'll be 100% honest. It is really? Yeah, that engine, that will be the last 5-cylinder engine ever made. Guaranteed. It will also be probably the best 5-cylinder engine ever made. Maybe not necessarily in sound. I still think some of the older 5-cylinders sound better. But as far as efficiency, power application, ability to actually, be a real engine as opposed to something that sounds good and leaks oil constantly, like all 5-cylinder Volvo engines. I think that for the engine alone, let's just say this, for the engine alone, I would consider trading my car in for it. Plus Volkswagen Golfs they're just Golf R's specifically they're just nice. I said the Golf is probably Volkswagen's best car, and it has been for probably 30 or 40 years, maybe even 50, going back to its inception. I don't think it's been 50 years since the Golf's inception. Was it the 70s or the 80s?
Don't know. Never a Golf.
Yeah. Well, the GTI, I mean, really, like the hot hatch. I think it was the late 70s, early 80s. I forget which.
Something.
It's
You're
in that
in the
range.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Neighborhood.
So I'd say that it is Volkswagen's best car and has been since its inception. So for me, I would buy the car. I we were talking we were talking about we were talking about this earlier. I think you are correct, and this is probably a good segue back to what you were going to say. I think we're probably going to see the first $70,000 Golf.
I mean,
um,
the Golf R Black Edition, which is the new sort of best of the best when it comes to Golf R, starts at just under $50,000.
yeah,
I just that is a metric ass ton of money for a hatchback. Now, we've said about this. We've said this a lot on the here. We love hot hatches. You said the Golfs are very, very nice, but
yeah,
here, at least here, over in Europe, it's a different story. But over at least here, hot hatches just don't generally do all that great because there's a disconnect. Like in this country, we look at, for lack of a better way of putting it, size matters. So how can that small car be worth that much money? Now, I think a 5-cylinder engine is just unique enough to kind of get people, thinking, oh, that's kind of special. And it obviously is going to make the appropriate noises, etc.
yeah.
But that's where this car would fall flat. Like, and not for nothing. And I was going to ask you this. So yeah, I just spec'd a Golf R Black Edition out with just a couple of like options. 54 grand. That is a lot. And I mean, I got to imagine the 5-banger with the out the room, according to the article, it's getting the Audi's driveline as well because if you didn't know, the Audi 3 or A3 S3 RS3, that's based on the Jetta Golf platform.
Right.
So that's what makes this quote unquote engine swap, although done at a manufacturer level, doable, right?
Right.
So it's just, look, is it really cool that Volkswagen's like, hey, here's the car, no hybrid, special, like that is awesome. We need more thinking along those lines. It's just, hey Greg, how much you spend on that new Golf of yours? Hey, thank you for asking. $67,000.
Yeah, that's a crazy number to be saying for a Golf. I'd say there's one exception to that. I would say that the Golf R with this engine is allowed to be that expensive if and only if it is 400 to 500 horsepower, comes with all-wheel drive, and can beat a Lamborghini off the line.
What the hell?
At that point, I will buy one for that price. Because Golf Rs are supposed to be cheap fun. And Golf GTIs are supposed to be cheap fun. Golf Rs are just supposed to be upscale cheap fun or slightly more fun, right? They're the special version. They're not $70,000 special. Hot hatches shouldn't be $70,000 unless it's a Delta Integrale and it's a vintage car. That is an appropriate car to have be $70,000. A brand new Golf R is not. Like, so to me, those are my parameters. Either it beats a Lambo off the line because it's just insane and it has that kind of performance while also being able to shuttle children around, or I'm not buying it. And that sucks, but that's just the way modern commerce goes currently, because it's everything's inflated. So I hope that it's not $70,000, but I can see it being that much with that engine and that sort of prowess.
I mean, let's face it. For all intents and purposes, it's going to be an Audi RS3, just slightly different interior, slightly different body.
Right.
And those things are going for quite a bit. But this does bring up a question. Would you rather that or a slightly used with about 50 to 70,000 miles and a used Audi RS3?
What's the price difference here again? How much, or is it pretty much spot on?
I just went to Car Gurus and I'm looking at my parameters were Audi RS3 60,000 miles or less. And the cheapest I'm seeing is $35,000, 47,000 miles. Although there's no rating on whether or not it's a good deal or not. So I'm wondering if that might be salvaged. So we'll just move to the next one. 56,000 miles, 38 grand.
Okay.
And it's kind of in that ballpark.
I mean, so that it's a little tough for me in that sense, because the Golf R is a hot hatch and I love hatchbacks. Obviously, this is a wagon, but it's still got a hatch. Still got a hatch. I love things with a hatch-like opening. The RS3 is a sedan and doesn't come with a hatch, though. If that freaking car came in a wagon, oh, so good. I wish we freaking got the RS4 over here. Anyway, tangent. So that car is like extremely appealing. Under 50,000 miles, almost half the price of what we're talking. Like, I like a hatch, but I don't like it $30,000 that much. So
yes, that's like, what we like to call in the industry mod money.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I can get an RS3 with a really low payment in that sense, and essentially I've just saved myself $30,000, and I could potentially huck 5 to 8 grand at it and be like, ooh, exhaust plus tune plus turbo. Okay, now we're talking. So like, yeah, I mean that's kind of a no-brainer. I would go with the RS3. The only again, another caveat to that is the Golf R is going to have a warranty. The Golf R is, you can probably lease it for cheaper. So like, I think there are certain examples where it makes more sense, but for me, the RS3 makes the most sense because they're very reliable engines, and it's an Audi versus a VW. You're using the same electronics, so like you're probably going to have
basically going to be effectively the same car,
right? Exactly.
Just the Audi, and I know you. Mm-hmm. You're a sucker for a nice, dare I say, luxurious interior.
Luxurious.
You like your tech. You like all the stuff that comes with a premium brand like Audi.
Yep, 100%.
So I'll say this. Again, I think it's really, really cool that they're doing these factory hot rods. I think the people who love them are going to be priced out of it. So it's going to be weird to see who buys it, right? Because like, let's think about it. Who can afford like a $60,000 just car, full stop, right?
Yep.
You're thinning out the market there. And then at that point, I mean, the pre-owned market, man, like, it's just like there's just so much more value for money. Yes, you said you get the warranty, which when we're talking about Volkswagen / Audi electronics is kind of, I kind of like that. But on the flip side, you can get extended warranties on used cars, especially if it's like a CPO or it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, which I know they can be a pain in the rear end. But again, it's just one of those things where I think the way the new car market has gone, And the way, like, you see it with Mustangs, right? Like the Mustang, to get like the top of the line, top spec with a manual, dark horse S650 Mustang, you're in the 70, almost $80,000 range.
Yeah, like that's insane.
That is nuts when you can go out and find a good S650 GT, even a 2018 plus, which is, you know, an intake manifold and a tune away from making the exact same power as the Dark Horse. Granted, it doesn't have the the Tremec or the fancy suspension or whatever, but still, you know, for $30,000, $40,000 less, you can make those improvements yourself. Like,
sure can.
It's just, and that's the thing with everything getting way more expensive. These fun, awesome like cars we want to look at, like that's really really cool. Oh, it's so expensive, and then you start thinking, I could get. There are so many like. You could go out and get a crazy clean, low mileage C6 Z06 for that money. Like
You probably, you really could. There's a lot you can do with that money. There's so many cars.
Yeah. So it's like, again, I don't want to make it seem like we're shitting on Volkswagen, although that seems to be in vogue at the moment. Because I do like the idea of them making these factory hot rods. I think, you know, the relaxed emission standards here, whatever you feel about them, have incentivized or encouraged car manufacturers to say, hey, we don't necessarily have to make something that's crazy stupid, that isn't necessary. Like, we're not rolling coal, but it's like, hey, we can make something really, really cool and not have it be some kind of hybrid or this or that, and keep like the purity. Because one thing I can guarantee you, an Audi RS3 based Volkswagen Golf R is going to be an absolute riot.
Oh yeah,
to drive. It is going to be phenomenal to drive because the RS3 is phenomenal to drive. And again, not that you would immediately start modding your overpriced hot hatch, but like the mod scene, that engine has been figured out. They know exactly what they can do to it and keep it safe. So you could end up, in theory, if you really wanted to, having a 700 horsepower Golf with all-wheel drive and an epic noise.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I know you can buy a lot with that money, but that sounds just stupid enough to make me want it more than a lot of other things.
Right. But on the flip side, for the same money for the money you would need to do the mods, so we're talking turbo upgrade, intake manifold, downpipe, exhaust, tune, probably some other stuff here and there. We'll just say 600 horsepower. Mm-hmm. You could do all that to an RS3 and be under the price of what the Volkswagen.
Probably still by $5,000 to $10,000. So like, it's yeah. If the RS3 didn't come with that already, because so many of them have been modded.
Right. It's just, I think this engine, I don't really know a good comparison. I guess it's very similar to when people started figuring out that, holy crap, these Japanese fuckers overbuilt the fuck out of these engines, like the 2J and all the like that era of engine. And they're like, how much boost can we throw at it? Oh, more? Yeah. More? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think the only reasonable course of action for you to do, Greg, is to buy an RS3 that may have been in an accident or what have you, but the driveline is intact, and put that into either a P2 Volvo or a Volvo. I'll even widen it. A Volvo station wagon of your choosing.
I mean, yes. Yes, very much yes. I am okay with this. Please give me the money to do so.
Let me just... we're not there. Sorry. Going on to seeing what chat's talking about this. Sean wants to shoe that 5-cylinder into a first-gen Golf because, of course, he does.
Oh, that actually would be amazing. So yes, for all of Sean's crazy ideas, yes,
I
that's
think
the
it would
best
be a
one
great.
you've ever had.
I think it would be a great engine option for Timmy. Just saying, Sean.
That's true. That's true.
Steve goes, hot hatches are going extinct. They are because the horsepower wars, right? Like
Yeah.
when we were going, it wasn't that long ago when a hot hatch had 200 to 250 horsepower. Then it was like 270, 280, 300, 350, knocking on the door of 400. And with all that horsepower came a raise in price. And suddenly the people who liked hot hatches, i.e., I'll say it, people younger than us, were priced out of them. Mm-hmm. At least in this country. Like, obviously, Europe is different because the hatchback is almost the small crossover. Like, where someone in this country with a family would consider a small crossover, in Europe, they consider a hatchback that, right? So getting a hot hatch is eminently doable for them. Here, it just never really caught on like that. And then Steve goes, I'm not even a fan of the new Golf R, no manual. Listen, bud, not everything can be your beloved EK hatch. I'm just saying. But yeah, I'm excited. Like, I think it would be kind of cool to see what does this inspire some of the other Germans to do, right? I don't know if necessarily you'll see like a BMW 1 Series with let's just say a naturally aspirated V8 out of like the 5 Series, but like it does kind of say, hey, you can do it.
That's true.
And then Sean, hey man, do you? Moving that car is a priority, so try not to break any more headlights. Okay, Greg.
Me.
I think you had topics because that was
I do. So, let's talk about the one that you know about as well. Let's talk about the Mercedes BMW stuff because
more Germans. Can you notice?
we're keeping it in Germany in the Shifting Lanes Garage, Shifting Lanes podcast geography quiz time. So I did a report. I did a reel, which happened to be a report on Mercedes was going down market with dropping the luxury term from their strategy. And I think we talked about this briefly last week as well, but like, here's the deal. Mercedes is pretty much synonymous with luxury. I don't think that they're going to be dropping luxury from their strategy. I just don't. And if they do, it's a biblically stupid move. I think they need to stop diluting the gene pool and like get rid of models that no one wants. So like the bajillion SUVs that you make, the egg-shaped EVs, maybe make 1 or 2 EVs for those that want them, make them good. Get rid of your cheap interiors because Mercedes interiors have gotten biblically cheap. If you go into one now and press on plastics, it sounds like it was put together with, rubber bands and bubble gum. It's awful. But that's all leading to this next thing, which is apparently, according to sources, BMW and Mercedes are now in talks to share 4-cylinder engines. So not only is Mercedes potentially taking luxury out of their name, but now they're getting into bed with BMW. And as much good-heartedness they have with the jabbing and ribbing in Germany, like Mercedes is better and BMW is better, I think the only question I have here is what the fuck? Like that seems like something that should never happen. Companies that are as big as Mercedes and BMW, like they don't need to share 4-cylinder engines. If they do, then something is seriously wrong at both companies. And they are not leading us to, or not telling us what is going on from a financial standpoint. And if you have to go to this level, then something's up, in my sense. we've talked a lot about like economies of scale on this streaming podcast. We've talked a lot about getting into bed with other companies. Subaru, Toyota sharing stuff, Toyota and BMW sharing stuff for the Supra. Like, there's a lot of companies that cross pollinate. This one, excuse me, this one seems to be sort of a very big head scratcher. Like, you both already make 4-cylinder engines. You don't need to share 4-cylinder engines in the future. You already have those. You don't need. Are you going to literally just share the engine and have it at one factory and just be like, this is for all of Germany? Like, to me, and I'll let you talk after this point, I feel like we are now moving towards one car company, or not one car company, all car companies using the same stuff. And I think that's like, it might not happen in our lifetime, but like, I feel like this is sort of the starting of that. Like, so many companies are now cross-pollinating. It seems like things are just going to be, oh, it's the Mercedes-Benz C-Class with the 4-cylinder that's shared with literally everybody else. I don't know what you think about that, but that's sort of where I think things are trending.
Well, so I'll start by saying this. When in terms of 4-cylinder, when it comes to 4-cylinders, especially when it comes to 2-liter 4-cylinders, if you look across the board, there's near as makes no difference the same bore and stroke. Like, the 2-liter 4-cylinder engine has, that question was posed 10, 15 years ago. Right. And all manufacturers, whether it be German, American, Europe in general, JDM, Korea, whatever, have all tried to figure out what is the most efficient way of building that particularly sized engine. And not for nothing, most people are working from the same rule set, as it were, as far as like, hey, engineering is taught a certain way. Here's how you get a reciprocating mass, or a linear motion into reciprocating mass, like all this other sort of stuff. And you're not building these engines out of unobtainium. You are effectively within reason using the same alloys. So eventually, when there could have been like difference in 4-cylinder engine design starting out, it's slowly merging to a convergence. So with that being said, especially if we're talking like a 4-cylinder engine, why not join forces with someone? Especially if they're in the same, like that's like 2 car companies in Illinois joining forces. When you look at like the geographical size of Germany, roughly, I'm guessing I didn't do well in geography.
Was that line from Mallrats? Europe, it's like the size of like the whatever mall. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
It is in fact the size of the whatever mall. I think you could fit Europe in the Mall of America.
Yeah. Oh, it's not Mallrats. It's Euro Trip. That's what it's from.
Oh yeah, you could have fooled me. I know both, have watched both, have not watched both in a long time.
Both good movies.
So I think you're gonna, like, to your point, I wouldn't be surprised if, I wouldn't be surprised if like more people sort of like convert, because like, let's face it, Mercedes is always already delving out or selling their engines to Aston Martin, among other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like the V8s. Okay. But if you look at it, it's like, okay, there's a few things at play here. Number one, a lot of these European companies, like we talked about last week, especially with Mercedes, have spent hundreds of millions of dollars going the EV route because their government said, this is what we're doing. Deal with it. So if you put money over, it's not like they can magically just make a budget appear for this and nothing else gets affected.
Right.
So with that being said, if you have an engine that is effectively, hey, BMW, let's talk about your 4-cylinder. Yeah, we do that too. Yeah. Oh, huh. So we could probably just combine and make the same engine, and it wouldn't really be any different whatsoever. And now you're amortizing the cost across two businesses instead of just one, it makes sense. And I think you're going to see a lot more of it because, again, all of these car companies, when it comes to internal combustion, I hate to say it, but it's almost been the afterthought. So now it's like, okay, if we can combine production, and again, they're in a really, it's not like even in America where you could have a facility in New York and another one in LA. We're not talking about Spain, like Spain to Russia or whatever, right? Like
Right.
they're pretty close together. So their manufacturing could easily be condensed. It makes sense. Let's face it. Nobody's going to care if their four-cylinder in their Mercedes-Benz is actually a BMW engine and vice versa. Nobody. Because the people buying the four-cylinders, frankly, do not care.
That's true. I'll give you that. Are all of those engines equally well built, though, is my question. And I would say no. I don't think they are. There are certain four-cylinders that are very good. There are also certain four-cylinders that are biblical shit shows. And no matter how much R&D they've thrown behind a lot of these engines, some of them still suck. Like the BMW four-cylinder is not good. It never has been. It never will be. It's just not a good engine. It doesn't have a lot of horsepower. It doesn't have a lot of low-end grunt. It leaks a lot. It sounds awful. There are certain four-cylinders that are just not good. And maybe you're right. Maybe this like combining of four-cylinder prowess and power is going to help and going to make things better across the board in that sense, depending on who shares what and blah, blah, blah. I still don't think that combining engines in this way is a smart idea because then again, to the point that I was making before, it's like diluting the gene pool in that sense. And it's giving us an easier way to just cop out and make cars an appliance. To me, that I don't know. It's what we're trending towards, and cars aren't appliances. And they should never be thought of as such. They are the second biggest purchase you'll ever make in your entire life, depending on how big of a rock you want to put on some person's finger. So, like, to me, I just don't find this to be, one, a smart move, and two, a good move for cars, especially the internal combustion engine in general. Like, the more we combine and the more we cross-pollinate and share, the less likely internal combustion is going to move forward in a good, productive, and clean way to keep internal combustion alive longer than we think it could possibly be. So, like, again, it's a four-cylinder. You know, you're right. Most people don't care about them. They're commuter car engines for the most part, and you know, I don't think this is like a thing to die on the hill for, right? So I'm willing to let it go, but I also want to just say that I think that I don't think this is a good move. I hope they don't do it. I hope that they can continue to develop the two-cylinder to make it better, because again, some of them are not good. And until we perfect it and someone says, I've got it and this is it, here's a four-cylinder that's going to last 500,000 miles, put it in everything. I don't think we should be throwing all of our eggs into one basket is all I'm saying.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that, look, if the BMW, let's look at the Mercedes four-cylinder right now. Say what you will about it being in the CLA and the CL and all the other random things that they're making 600 and blah, 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 blah when they're not. But you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
That's a stout little engine. They were making over 400 horsepower with it, right? To then in turn go and start putting the BMW engine, I don't think it's just a straight, okay, we're taking your engine. It seems to absolutely suck. Here's what you need to do to it. And then, you know, again, because if, again, BMW being a business, I'm not saying that all four cylinders should be made by one person. What I'm saying is that there's a convenience factor that plays into this, right?
Right.
You know, and again, what you're talking about leaking, it doesn't make power, it's this, that, and the other thing. We're talking about ancillaries to the engine, whether it be the way the head is designed. I'm not saying the head is ancillary, but the way the head is designed, the way the cams are designed, your sealing surfaces and what they're using to seal engines as far as the leaks and stuff are concerned, right? I'm not saying the BMW four-cylinder is good. It just needs TLC. I'm not. What I am saying is that the 2-liter four-cylinder engine, for example, go out and look, because it'll shock you how many are using the same bore and stroke, how many are using the same bore spacing. I wouldn't be at all shocked if you could somehow, as long as you figure if the water jackets are similar enough to put a Mercedes head on a BMW four-cylinder. I'm sure it's impossible for various couple reasons, obviously bolt patterns, again, the water jackets being that, but I'm willing to bet the combustion chambers are within millimeters of each other, if that, because of the generic. So instead of looking at it from the standpoint of, over here we have Mercedes, who are making some of the most powerful four-cylinders on the planet that seem to be very reliable, even with those big boost levels. And on the flip side, you have BMW, who's making this sort of, what the frick is this? Sort of well below expectation four-cylinder. The coming together, maybe the Mercedes engineering, here's how we did this. Okay, here's how we do this. Right? That convergence, and then again, they're spreading the cost. And again, we've talked about this ad nauseum, is the price of cars just going through the roof. I know we're talking about two luxury brands here, and they're not exactly overly concerned with the everyman, or if at all, really. And as a way of reducing cost, especially, again, taking the AMG misguided nonsense that Mercedes went down with the four cylinders. For the most part, it's entry-level luxury for these four cylinders. True. That's the entry-level engine option. So if you can save a couple bucks there, and I get what you're saying, if it's just a straight-up engine deal, okay, you make 100,000 engines, we're going to put it in our car, we're not going to touch it or change it. That could be a problem. Because obviously, if they're no good, even if Mercedes suddenly becomes Germany's Ford, right. If your engines suck, your engines suck.
Yeah, full accuracy on that. Absolutely.
But again, to your point about if everybody's kind of coming together, it'll stop progress on internal combustion. I kind of disagree there from the sense of, again, you only have so much R&D budget. Most of it is going into hybrid and electrification, even if you don't merge with anyone. Almost every auto manufacturer is doing it. Now, that budget has been pulled back, especially with the way regulations have changed, etc., or as people realized, there's only this capacity of potential buyers, not double it or what we thought it would be. So again, in theory, if we'll use the Mercedes BMW example, they come together with their budgets and create one four-cylinder engine. Theoretically speaking, let's just say for the sake of this argument, the money is the same. BMW has X billion or X million to develop the four-cylinder. Mercedes has the same amount. Well, now you've doubled your R&D budget. Or, you could now, instead of bringing X, you bring 3/4 of X, right? You're still having more money to develop the same thing by having a shared partnership. Again, it's a lot like saying, hey, Ford, Chevy, and Chrysler are all going to join forces to develop a four-cylinder engine. Would that work? No idea. But I will tell you, the 10-speed automatic transmission that is in the two best-selling pickup trucks in America, the F-150 and the Silverado, arguably two of the biggest American automotive rivalries ever. Might not be the sexy like Corvette versus GT or Mustang versus Camaro, Hellcat versus Mustang, like all that. But from a sales perspective, it's a massive rivalry. They came together to jointly to develop the 10R80, not 10R80, 10. Yeah, 10. I'm going to get lost in the sauce and the minutia, so I won't go down that road. But the point is, the 10-speed in the Mustang, the 10-speed in the Camaro, the 10-speed in the Silverado, GMC, the F-150, that 10-speed automatic, within slight, and I'm talking slight, modification to meet, say, an LS versus a Coyote truck motor, are the same thing. And those are the two biggest American rivals coming together to do that. And it saved the consumer money, because if they both developed their own automatic transmission, their costs would have been higher. So again, it's not like Ford and Chevy coming together. Here's our new V8 that we've worked together. One cylinder is, or one side of the V is pushrod, the other is dual overhead cam. Enjoy. Right? Like, it's not like that. Like, it's not the exciting end. Like the humdrum, mundane engines. Like, who cares? Yeah. Those are the cars at the most you want to have costs be as little as possible. From a business standpoint, you make a couple extra bucks, but on the flip side, you get more people interested because your car doesn't cost as much money to R&D. I mean, yeah. And last thing I'll say about it, who makes the brakes on your car?
I think Brembo.
Who makes the brakes on my car?
Brembo. I think it's different when you're talking about.
And you have like Volvo that. Struts in your car.
Olin's. Sure, but here's the difference, though. Those companies have existed for a long time to do those specific things. I feel like engine design and engine prowess is left up to the OEMs, and I feel like it's a slightly different, can of worms in that sense. I think that engine design is different. I also just don't want to see Mercedes and BMW share things. I want their rivalry to continue forever, and them do their own thing. So part of this is me just being selfish. Like, I just don't want them to be like, oh yeah, we are sharing the 4-cylinder, yeah. Like, no, don't share anything. Be competitors, but be friendly competitors. Like, I just don't want to see them, do the thing. I want them to just be, when the CEO retires, I want them to have, more commercials about them driving the other person's car because they're now free of being, the CEO, which is a famous commercial that BMW did, I think, or Mercedes did. I forget which one, but I think it was the CEO of BMW retired, and then you saw an actor drive away in a Mercedes, and I'm just like, that's funny. Like, that's the shit I want. I want that kind of stuff.
I think you're honestly going to continue to see that because, like, at the end of the day, BMW makes a BMW engine and puts it in their car. They want you to buy the BMW. Yeah. BMW makes the BMW engine and puts it in a Mercedes. That still makes BMW money, but not as much as they would have if it was in their car. Yeah. I honestly, to your point, cars, especially the 4-cylinder engine, aside from, certain cars like Miata, the BRZ or ZR, BRZ and the GR86, the Porsche Cayman / Boxster twins. Like, apart from those cars, the 4-cylinder is pretty much in everything in every car that one would consider an appliance. A passionless tool that literally is there to do the job. Instead of, keeping your leftovers from the local sketchy Thai place nice and cool so you can eat them a second day, it gets you to work. It gets the kids to their practice. It does all this other sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, and again, I know we're seeing different size four cylinders, whether it be 1.4, 1.8, 2.3, 2 liter, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But again, the 2 liter four cylinder, bore stroke, bore spacing is all almost identical.
True.
It's so, like, I just look at it as if you're coming to the same answer separately, might as well work together. Like, imagine if Honda was involved with Mazda and they did, and I'm sure Steve will love this idea. And they did the head work, or they made the Mazda Miata engine, based off of an older Honda design, or Honda did the head, like the Honda head would fit on the Mazda block, like, and vice versa. It's just the Honda head is more performance oriented, right? Like, it's again, it's one of those things where I think, will it work out? Am I looking at it through rose-colored glasses? Perhaps. Is it a case of, will it be more of a case of them coming together, more minds, more engineers, more experience coming together to build what's best at a reduced cost to the business? Or is it just one of those things where it's like, well, okay, we're working with BMW. The six of you who we just hired, Auf Wiedersehen. Right? Like, I guess it comes down to how much trust you have in corporations, which obviously a lot of us don't, or what have you. But again, I just see that this is going to become more and more of a thing across the industry, especially with the high volume engines, or that quote unquote, or that the globally high volume engines. So obviously the LS or LT or whatever. Yeah, we're on LT, is a high volume engine because it's in fucking everything.
Sure is.
But
I have one of them. I have a 2 liter. I have a 2 liter also in everything.
Well, I meant the LS or LT, like the Chevy.
I missed that. Sorry. My internet cut out. I thought you were still talking about the 2 cylinder or the 2 liter.
No, I'm talking what I'm talking about is a high volume engine. Right. So the LS, we'll call it the LS. It's the LT now, LT whatever. It's like, hey, here's the engine. We're going to put vegetable oil in it to lubricate it. So good luck, everyone. I'm talking about but that's really high volume in America, North America, right? It's not really high volume in Europe or Asia or whatever, right? But the Volkswagen 2 liter 4-cylinder is in Europe, it's in America, it's in their Asian markets, right? That's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Those types of engines, I could see manufacturers coming together. It's like, hey, this is a high volume thing. So let's just say hypothetically, it's another Toyota German coming together. And the Germans realize that the Toyota 2 liter is the vastly superior engine. Okay, they're going to make it for Mercedes in their production plant whether they have in America and Japan and Europe, and like the Mercedes manufacturer is just going to start making it. If that's a way these manufacturers have to make everyday normal cars more cost effective, I'm here for it, because cars are way too expensive now. They are just way, way, way too expensive. The fact that in only 5 years, the cost of a brand new car on average has gone up by over 30% is insane.
Yeah, it's a lot of goods like that. The cars specifically, but so much shit is so much more expensive now. Like, guys, stop buying things. We don't need it. Like, you don't need a new car. Go buy a fucking used car. They're just as good, and they're probably going to save you like tens of thousands of dollars, if not many thousands of dollars. Like, stop. You want to drive prices down? Stop buying the expensive shit, and then all the prices will go down. It's literally Econ 101. It's very simple.
Buy our merch.
Also buy our merch. That will also never change price, except when it's $50 a t-shirt in 10 years.
It literally hasn't changed. None of the stuff, I think the only
It'll
price
probably
change
never
on
change.
some of the shirts and stuff has gone down.
Yeah, it'll probably never change.
Steve goes, Honda has mentioned my name is always summoned. Yeah, we just, instead of a bat signal, we just have the Honda logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, and I'm not saying everyone should use the same four-cylinder. I'm not saying it's like, okay, everybody come together, here's the four-cylinder, now go make it. Because that's how you completely stifle, I don't even want to say innovation, but creativity and thought. Or, you know, if you can only make one, you have to make compromises. You know, Mr. Yamamoto over in Japan might say, hey, this head design is more efficient. It's going to cost us 17 cents more per unit, but it's more efficient, so it'll make power easier, and it'll be 0.76 miles per gallon more efficient. And, you know, Wolfgang over in Germany is like, 9, no, we're doing it this, right? Like, so there should be multiple variants of the same thing. It's just, you know, at the end of the day, let me ask you a question. On the back of your washing machine, do you look at the manufacturer of the electric motor?
No,
care?
but they're all the same.
Do you care?
Nah.
Like, and
No, I know consumers don't care. Again, I'm also thinking about it from, you know, enthusiast realm. Like, consumers don't care. They won't, and they never will. So, like, for a two-cylinder, I keep saying two-cylinder, for a 2-liter, because most of the people that are buying 2 liters in that sense, like, they are an appliance to them. So, like, people aren't going to care. They aren't. I will concede that.
Sean just goes, unhinged idea, a design idea. Twin cam push rod inline 4 or 6. Why and no. But I will say the crap. What the hell was the name? I couldn't pronounce the name of the engine I did a video on last week. So
Oh yeah,
yesterday.
I saw that.
I couldn't forget it. But basically, back in the '60s, Ford was working on the successor to the GT40.
Was it a Cabalion or Cabalia or something like that?
Something to that effect. I could probably find it if I really dug into my chat logs. The Calliope, Calliope. And that was actually
is it pronounced Calliope or Calliope?
Calliope or something like that. And I kept. My brain was like, this is the Calliope, and I went to Google for the pronunciation and everything, and I couldn't get it. But it's got it's a pushrod V8 with 2 cams in the block. I forget the exact, I think it was a per bank thing, if memory serves, because the way they're positioned, there would have to be crossover of the push rods in order to do like an exhaust and intake valve thing. And the funniest thing about it is I used text-based editing in Premiere to edit all of my stuff. And I think we lost Greg.
Hello? No, I'm here.
Oh, he's just gone motionless.
I'm just staring.
No, you've literally gone motionless on the screen.
Lovely. Great. Thanks, internet.
But the funniest thing about it was, so I tried to pronounce it, and so the text recognized it as, and here's the line from the bit. The engine in question was codenamed the Koala PP.
I love that it's called the Koala PP. That's great.
Which is technically closer to the pronunciation, but
I was gonna say that pretty much confirms the pronunciation is the Calliope.
Yeah. Oh wait, we have Greg movement again. Huzzah! Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing Greg man.
Intergalactic proton powered electrical tentacled advertising droids.
Oh my god.
Dude, when I heard that, it was the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life, and I like cried laughing at both of those things. I memorized them immediately because I watched that YouTube clip probably like 100 times in a row. I thought it was the funniest shit I've ever seen. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Oh my gosh.
Love that.
But yeah, so before we get into the next topic, I'm going to take a quick break.
Cool.
Greg is going to regale you with if it was a possibility and money wasn't, if you could do it and cost was not an object, like you could just snap your fingers, poof, and it would be there, the engine and driveline you would put into the car behind you, what would it be and why? And cite your sources.
Ooh, okay. Go urinate. I will be back. Or I will not. I will be back. Go urinate. You'll be back.
Full disclosure,
and
I'm going to go smoke.
Okay, cool. Either way. So money no object, driveline, engine going into this car behind me. Excuse me as I yawn and bore all of you. Also, hi, welcome to the Gregson Show. It's me now. Too bad. Bye, Chad. Get the fuck out. No. So behind me, if you are watching this randomly and are not watching this live and are watching it after the fact, which awesome. If you are, good job. You are a good human. If you are watching it live, also a good human. Love you guys. This behind me is a 2016 Volvo V60 Polestar. It has a transversely mounted inline six producing 345 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. It is one of only 240, 250, something like that, inline six cylinders from Polestar in this model to ever exist in the United States. This car is rarer than your Lambo. It is. Anyway, I would drive it daily. It's pretty cool. What I would do with this car is, well, this car has a really sick engine and it sounds really good, but it could use a better one. So here's what I would do if I had lots and lots of oodles of money. I would take what we were talking about earlier. I would take the RS3 5-cylinder, slap it in here immediately, because to me, Volvos and 5-cylinders are synonymous. Now, I would love to put an old Volvo 5-cylinder in it, but this is a more modern car. And the old 5-cylinders from the V70Rs, very cool. They had a more modern 5-cylinder. I think they made it actually up until this model was I think they made it in the P3, and I forget. Someone correct me if I'm wrong in chat. I think the P3 still had a 5-cylinder option in certain markets. I believe even in the US market for certain trim levels. But if I'm talking about true performance 5-cylinders, that was gone from Volvo from a long time ago. I think that those ended when the V70Rs sort of stopped here in the States. The natural thing would be to say, oh, do the V70R engine. That'd be cool. But it's not an appropriate engine for this car. That engine, I think, Chad and I have talked about this a lot. That engine is a great engine option to swap it to other cool platforms, like an MR2, a Gen 2 MR2. If you could put a Volvo 5-cylinder into a Gen 2 MR2, chef's kiss. I think the sound plus the performance, you wouldn't even have to go crazy with the stuff, right? You wouldn't even have to go nuts with the performance aspect of it. As it sits, it's a 300 horsepower engine with the turbo. MR2s don't need more than that. They don't. Any MR2 doesn't need more than that. That would be a crazy fun engine to have just swapped in, done nothing to it, to the engine itself. That would be cool. But that engine in this car, I don't feel is appropriate. It doesn't fit. It's sort of an old school engine. This car, to me, would need a more modern 5-cylinder. And I think the Volvo 5-cylinders that were modernized and they kept making them throughout the P2 into P3, Ford into Geely ownership sort of timeline. They were fine, but they were not the best engines the Volvos were making. The sixes were. Like, this engine is insanely good, stupid reliable, stupid good sounding, stupid good on pedal sounding exhaust, whatever. Like, it's just a fantastic engine. Designed by Volvo, built by Ford, SI6. It's awesome. The RS3 motor, the 5-cylinder, has a modern 5-cylinder engine that is still being produced. It is a performance 5-cylinder engine, and it is proven to be a total workhorse, can do anything, has a ton of, you can throw so much power at it and it'll just take it. I think to this day, it was still the only car to ever give the Unicorn a true loss in this versus that. Like, that motor built up in that RS3 against the Unicorn with Ken Block in it. I think that was one of the few, if not the only car that gave it a true loss in one of the drags. Like they were lined up evenly and it gave it a loss. So like that motor in this car, I think would be just epic. I think it would be so good, such a great natural fit. Like that, to me, that's the perfect engine for this car. If I was going to go one step further, I would actually love to see a 2J in this car mounted, longitudinally, not transversely. Like that, I think would be very cool too. I think the weight balance would get better. You could send the power straight to the rear wheels, make this a rear wheel drive wagon. Excuse me again, so tired. Life, kids, work, the whole nine. I think that a 2J in this car would be crazy in a great way. And like that's like a natural kind of like crazy engine, like whatever. Like to me, if this already has an inline six, why not go for like the most biblically insane inline six? Why not? Just why not? Because it stays true to the car and it's just fun. Like to throw like a 2J, like 1,000 horsepower engine in a Volvo, but make it still look like this. No one would see that coming. And that'd be just great to me. Chad, did you hear any of my engine options?
Sort of. What did we land on?
So the crazy one was the 2J because this has a 6 in it, and I think this car.
So we're converting it to rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's just like this rear-wheel drive, like putting like a 2J in it, but making it look exactly like it does now, like an actual like sleeper. Like it looks like, oh, that's a cool sporty wagon.
Why is the guy sitting in the back seat to drive it?
Yeah. That's a cool sporty wagon. Oh, awesome car, dude. And then you open the hood and you're like, "Goo!" Like that's insane. But my original one was actually what we were talking about earlier, the RS3 5-cylinder. And I went into this whole diatribe about like it's a 5-cylinder. This car deserves a 5-cylinder, a good performance 5-cylinder. But the old V70R and the old Volvo engines, it doesn't make sense for this car because this car is so modernized compared to like a V70R. So like the RS3 engine makes so much sense in this car. Like 5-cylinder Volvo modern engine can just take power in this. It would be like the perfect car in my opinion. It would be just such a great package. I wish they did that. But maybe one day we'll hit lotto and we can make it a reality.
I mean,
it's not my turn. So you tell me or the people what you would put in this car. And it's the same as what I said.
What about what you said? You cut out.
It can't be the same engines as what I said.
Can't be the same engines. You can agree,
but you have to think of two different options. One that makes sense for the car and one insane one.
Okay. I mean, sensible. Let's go with, I mean, not for nothing. Let's assume for a second there's someone out there that could build the transmission, the all-wheel drive system, etc. of the existing stuff that's in Greg's car. For a second, let's just work that. Steve, you said it twice. I'll get there. I would honestly, actually, since we're talking about Greg's car, might as well have it on screen. I would, so like, this might be both sensible and like completely out of this world, because why not build the entire driveline of the existing driveline? So what does it take to strengthen the block on these? Can you sleeve them? Money not being an object, pistons and rods, not exactly difficult to obtain. You can go to CP and Carrillo and they could do it for you. The crank would obviously have to be, again, custom. But to make sure it doesn't just blow the transmission into confetti, you'd have to build the whatever the angle gear or whatever it's called in the modern, or that era of Volvo. I completely forget or don't know. And just beef up the driveline so it's the exact. So literally you could make it look exactly as it looks now, with obviously a big ass intake manifold hanging off it. People don't understand these cars to begin with, so I don't know if they'd look at it and go, or maybe just the fact that it's a transverse 6, they might look at it and go, wait a minute. Straight 6 for that matter. But 700 horsepower, and it retains its Volvo-ness. Sean, if you keep saying the Yamaha V8, I'm going to actually demand that you build the C30. If you're that big of a fan of the engine, put it in the C30 in the all-wheel drive fashion that we talked about. You won't. And then as far as like the unhinged side of it, if we're just using it as basically a shell at this point to put an engine in, I mean, there's obvious choices. Greg said the 2J, too heavy. Steve said the like a K24, built K24 with a turbo, too obvious. I know you're all thinking I'm going to say Coyote, no. LS, no. A 2UR or like a 1UZ Toyota V8 kind of makes sense. I don't know how much room is in the engine bay. That's the other thing. Because it's one thing to make like the engine fit and have it like be like have like 2 cylinders underneath the cowl or the windshield. So doing spark plugs is an engine out. Like we turned this into a Ferrari from the late 90s or what have you. The Volvo 5 cylinders and stuff are interesting. The Audi driveline is very interesting. And like something like a VR6 could be interesting. I would say just to make things interesting, I would say put this in it. This will excite. This will very much excite Steve. But this is Neutron engines. They call it the K48, which should give you a hint. But it is a V8 based on K series architecture. And it's a flat plane V8, which I think Greg would like. 10,000 RPM. 750 to 800 naturally aspirated horsepower. I'm assuming that's on E85 or like 110 octane race fuel. But even so, if you could make 550 to 650 horsepower with that red line, I mean, it is a hot V, so we'd have to figure out how to get the exhaust away from Greg's, tiny little feet. But I mean, this would be my unhinged. This would be the unhinged route. Again, if Greg can do a 2J rear-wheel drive, I can do this engine, or what have you, into his car. Now, because I thought Greg was going to go a different route with this. I thought he was going to ask me to talk about what I would do to my car, assuming a pissed off Coyote is out of the equation, which we've, again, talked to ad nauseum, because there's so many different things you can do with a Coyote, especially if you're starting with something, say, like the Predator block. I think you can get, I think there's people out there getting 5.7 liters out of the Coyote. I don't know how streetable that is or how long for this world that is, but I know you can get 5.5 liters out of it pretty easily. But that's a little too obvious. And here's where you're finally going to get your satisfaction, Steven. I was thinking about what would I do, because I'm working on a video on the Martini Mustang, with which, if you're unfamiliar, is a '66 Mustang that was built to sort of be a road rally. It was inspired by the road rally cars of that era, and it has, again, of that era, a Ford IndyCar engine in it that was built for Lotus. It wasn't the engine Jim Clark used, but it was the exact same design, so to speak. So I was thinking about that. So I was thinking, okay, what about a modern IndyCar engine? Not enough cylinders. What about the 3.5 liter V8 IndyCar engine? That's good, but that would either require a Chevy or a Honda. We're going to pass. And then I thought, along the same lines, get ready for it, Steve, I hope you're sitting down, of Tony Angelo and what he's doing with his Bel Air, where he has an SR2 or an SP2 NASCAR engine that was in one of Jimmy Johnson's car. What if we put a Ford equivalent? I like the idea of 8,000 RPM. I like the idea of knocking on the door of 800 horsepower. Again, might not make that much on 93, but I like the idea of 600, 700 horsepower NA. 600 horsepower is the goal for my car in the real world with a real budget. And at that point, you'd go the Sean route, boom tube, and have that high RPM screaming NASCAR that we all know and love. I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to do the modern version of it. But it would be kind of a cool build concept. It would be kind of cool to do something like that in, say, a Fox. Or even like like a New Edge or something like that. It'd be cool in one of those older Mustangs. Foxes are approaching classic status. I think that would be frickin'... That would rip. Like a Roush Yates NASCAR engine. From back in the day, because the modern engines... Apparently you can't add 150 horsepower to them because they're not engineered for it. Well, what the hell happened to the old engines? We're just suddenly using a different block? I'm guessing different lighter pistons and rods would be my guess there. But, could be a thing. Let's see here. What are you guys talking about? Sean goes, give me the car and the funds. I'll do it or die trying. You have the car and you have an Anthony, and his beard is full of mysticism and magic. So I believe you have all that you need to get it done, apart from the desire to do so and the willpower. Steve has suggested a 3.5 liter VTEC and boosted for Greg's car. Here's the thing. You all know me. if I'm doing a V6 build, I'm starting with whether it be a VQ or the Honda or whatever. Or I only say VQ because I know these things can reach 4 liters. 4.1, I think, is the stroker kit with them. So, in theory, you could get it to 4 liters, have as close to the same bore and stroke as the flat 4 or the flat 6 4-liter engine in the GT3 RS, and get that sound. That's kind of what I'm after. If you could do it with the Honda, it's a contender as well. You would know better than I would. Their Steve Areno, or what have you. Sean has go, find a company to add 2 more cylinders to a Coyote. Believe it or not, I've thought of that. I have very, 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 very much thought of that. A cost no object engine build that is on the list for certain. It would absolutely sound wild. That's it. Steve goes, if one of us wins Powerball, we are buying retired NASCARs. Sure. I did also, to that end, I have been thinking about how cool would it be to have a company like Roadster Shop build a custom frame for a pickup truck that you could sort of build a street legal with that's good for the street, handling on the street, all that fun stuff. That you could pop on the NASCAR bodywork of, say, the new Ram or the Ford or whatever, and just have that as like a daily driver. I think that would be fucking insane. And then since he's back and being very good at being motionless and reading chat like something just happened and he's got his disappointed dad face on, Greg has returned.
Yes, hello.
So, to recap, what I would do with your car is
it what you sent me?
Hold on.
All right.
Hold on. Patience. You and Steve could learn a thing or two.
No, I have no patience.
So the first thing I suggested as sort of the reasonable route is just build the fuck out of your existing setup. So build the trans, if it's possible. Build the, I don't know if they have angle gears or whatever the transfer case device in your car is, whether it's a center diff, whatever it's called. Build that, build everything, build the motor, and make like a 700 horsepower monster. And then the unhinged thing, if to go aside with your rear-wheel drive 2J conversion, was the engine I sent you.
Right, which is insane.
You know, who doesn't want a 10,000 RPM flat plane crank V8 in their Volvo station wagon?
Literally everyone wants that.
And they make boosted variants of that engine, I should say. And you can get it, I think you can actually get it up to 5 liters. But
that's pretty awesome.
So, yeah.
I want that. That's what I want.
I mean, it's a hot V, so we could mount it, like, see if it fits transversely in your car, just to mess with fucking people.
Oh my god, it's like a V80 all over again.
And it just, the exhaust just goes straight out the side of your fender, whether it's meant, like, it's literally like your fender, if it's like on the angle, it just goes out and it follows the body line, whether but anywho,
that's awesome.
Moving right along.
Yes.
What's next on the topics of interest to some?
To some, yes. We'll go with the Honda one since we'll go with the Steve. This is the Steve news. So it's not sexy news, I'll be honest, but it is interesting in the sense of like it involves a lot of people. So Honda is basically challenging Ford in not a great way for the recall kings, and Ford has had the title for the last couple of years. They set the record for most recalls in a single year, by July of this year, by the way. So we still have 6 months left.
We're
And
overachievers.
yeah, they are going to set the record by a lot. But not in total amounts of recalls, but in total vehicles recalled, Honda's pretty close to Ford. And that's surprising coming from Honda, which is a pillar of reliability in the Japanese market and, quite frankly, worldwide. So they have a recall that is coming very soon. That is, the NHTSA is investigating, and that pretty much means you're going to see a recall, 1.4 Honda and Acura vehicles over engine failure reports, which, once again, this is Honda we're talking about. There's not a lot of recalls or investigations into Honda citing engine failure. So 400 different reports have been reported for vehicles in several 2016 through 2020 Acura and Honda models. So, like, pretty recent models. And I'll give you the bullet points. This is from Car and Driver. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, if you want to abbreviate it, is looking into 414 reports of connecting rod bearing failures in Honda and Acura vehicles, with the automakers. Want to wager a guess as to what engine, Jed? You're muted.
The 3.5 liter V6.
Ah, very good. I didn't think you'd say that. But yes.
I have the article up. I was trying to think of something clever, but I was like, fuck it, I don't have time for it.
Well, shit. No, like the V6 from Honda is, again, it's one of the pillars of Japanese reliability, but not recently. So, looking into this, they're also saying the problem can lead to complete engine failure and a risk of crashes or fires. And the investigation will look at vehicles from 2020 and older, including, excuse me, Acura MDX and TLX, the Honda Odyssey, Pilot, and Ridgeline models. Now, again, this is not sexy news, but this is
it's also overblown for what is effectively BMW's go-to failure of the last 20 years.
What, rod bearing failures?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be 100% honest. That's sort of a known thing that you're risking when you're buying a German car is over-engineered, probably going to have some failures. But people buy Hondas so that they can not have these things happen, right? So, Steve. So, this is surprising news in that sense because you buy Japanese to have the reliability, to have that sort of, oh, I don't have to worry about what the Germans are doing. They don't need to over-engineer anything. The Japanese make things very to the point, matter of fact, straightforward. Not so much, apparently, according to this. And this is definitely not the first time this V6 has been in the news for this very similar sort of thing. The modern 3.5 liter V6s, meaning from like 2015 plus, have had a lot of issues in that sense. So my thing is just like, this is it sort of gets to the point where any car can be, not good. Even Toyota Camrys, which are very good and arguably one of the best cars, if not the best car ever made from a reliability standpoint, unless you want to count Lexus, which is probably the best. But that's also getting luxury involved. Either way, the best common commuter car that you can buy at a decent price is probably the Toyota Camry that's ever been made. Most reliable, blah, blah, blah. Honda Accord and Hondas with the V6 from Honda are also in that conversation. However, this sort of throws a gigantic wrench into that argument. So to me, I don't know, it's not a good look, especially when most modern Hondas with the V6 are having issues. So I would much rather buy a Honda with the 4-cylinder at this point than the V6.
Couple of things. First, the not at all serious, the probably shouldn't, but I will anyway. I was looking
always be unserious.
I was looking at the individual who wrote this article, and my brain just automatically stopped giving a fuck about bad Honda engines. And I sent you a screenshot so you can see what I'm seeing. But
yeah, let me look at
the writer of this article definitely looks like she's going to make you take your hat off inside.
Yes. She looks
just,
like the English teacher that's gonna slap you with a ruler across the knuckles.
Yeah, the the professor in college who takes Macedonian classic literature way too seriously.
Yes,
Like it
absolutely.
Genuinely believes that you are less prepared to be a human without possessing that knowledge. That being said, I honestly think with a lot of these recalls, these failures, you see it with, like, who would have thought that the Chevy small block would have a massive issue?
Right. True.
Who would have thought a Honda engine would have massive issues? Ford is going to Ford.
Ford is going to Ford.
Actually. I think what we're looking at, and this is kind of to Steve's point, although I don't believe as a whole modern stuff is less reliable than older stuff. It might be that 5-10 years ago stuff was a little bit more reliable or what have you. I honestly think we're seeing, like I was saying before, about how joining forces to build an engine gives you more R&D, or gives you the ability to say, okay, the budget for these engines, we can actually use parts that are intended or what have you, right? You run into the less, you have more engines that were designed by engineers and not modified by accountants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
That sort of a thing. But you're seeing that more and more now because, again, there was this massive law hanging over everyone's head saying go electric by this date. And the only way anybody was going to meet that insanity, which, as we've pointed out, was impossible. But what are you going to do if you're a manufacturer, right? You're just going to say, I'll just wait for the next administration and forget this nonsense, right?
Yeah.
If you're smart in business, you're probably going to have to divert a lot of your funding to, okay, we don't have to make everything electric right now, but how can we start building things on which there's a platform to where it becomes an easier process, right? Instead of everything from a subcompact all the way up to your 3-row SUV, instead of designing everything like that, how do we design a platform that makes it so we can introduce the midsize sedan, the midsize crossover, the full size, this, the that, the this, right? They diverted time, energy, resources, probably some of their best engineers.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's going to suffer? Well, it's the old tech, right? Every 3 or 4 years, you get an alert. If you're running Windows, blah, 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 Microsoft support will be ending in 3, 2, you're fucked, right? Like, you see the old stuff go by the wayside. You see it in video games. Most major publications now are not backwards compatible.
Right.
The only ones who are really doing it, and it's to their fault, is Call of Duty. And their games are tragic because
terrible.
Well, they're not. Without making this about video games, games themselves are okay. There's just so much other going. Like, it's like,
right.
If we have more consoles, we can sell more Beavis and the Butthead bundles.
Yeah.
Like, at any rate, my point is that they diverted these funds, resources, manpower, intelligence to the electric car side. So naturally, the internal combustion engine is going to suffer. Whether it be GM not using using a cheaper oil, in addition to the design flaws that are inherent to that engine, right?
Yeah.
Honda, maybe they're not using the same material, or maybe it is an oil thing as well. We don't know, but I'm guessing it was. We can get away with these rod bearings and be fine, and they're not. For whatever reason, it's probably because they're a cheaper version of what they used to have. And going on. Am I saying that it makes it right? Absolutely not. But cars have never been more expensive, and I think manufacturers have never been cheaper in a bad way. That's, again, why I said, hey, if you want to join forces for this consumer-based engine that literally nobody's going to give a crap about, sure, there's going to be a Sean in West Virginia who's going to realize, hey, if I slap a turbo to this thing, it can make a lot of power, right? But in general, those engines nobody gives a shit about.
Sure.
So if you can join forces to make an inherently better product, that makes more sense than what's going on now, in my estimation, is sales are down. They had to divert resources from years ago. And now the product that they're putting out is suffering because it didn't get the same support or what have you as it did in years past.
Sure. No, I agree. I mean, I agree with that. I just find it strange that Honda, of all companies, is the one that's failing in the one engine that was like the engine for them. Like everyone, and I mean everyone, looked up to the V6 from Honda. Even Toyota. Toyota had praised Honda a lot of the time in the 90s and early 2000s for that V6. And I know it's not the same engine, but it is a derivative of that engine in the sense of it's a Honda V6. So to me, it's just very surprising that Honda can't nail something that they've already nailed for a while. And it to me, it shows that a lot of these car companies are trying to do too much. Honda itself doesn't need to offer a insane amount of vehicles. They need to offer 10 max and just nail the drive lines and drivetrains and like not that they're making a lot of them, but I don't see like Honda was in talks to buy Nissan or merge with Nissan, which I think we both agree would have been a really good thing for both companies, especially Nissan. But in that sense, like I feel like Honda is about to be on the downturn. And I feel like this V6 issue has been sort of lingering for a while. And I think that a lot of I think Honda is starting to get the perception from a lot of people of being like Toyota Light. And Toyota is just now sort of making that delta between them and on the graphs of like sales plus prowess plus engineering, all this other stuff. I feel like Toyota just kind of has them nailed at this point. So to me, I feel like Honda is sort of on the downturn in that sense. And I don't know. I don't get a warm fuzzy from a lot of what Honda is doing currently. This being one of the biggest things.
I mean, the whole thing, Honda used to, what is it? I think Honda used to make basically just like two engines, the V6 and the 4-cylinder.
Right. That was it.
You know, I look at it this way. Since it's Honda, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't really had much in the way of like massive issues with Honda, right?
Right.
They're the one company. No. They're the one company I have faith in them, you know, sort of looking at it and being like, okay, what did we fuck up? How do we fix it? How do we stop from doing it again?
Right.
You know, will that happen? I have no idea. It's just night, Steve. Have a good one. Sean, take care, buddy.
See you guys.
It's just, I look at it, I try to look at it from this standpoint, right? Like, is it a cost-cutting method? Probably. Is it something that I trust that Honda looked into and was like, this should work? Because let's face it, when you have this many engines affected, Honda's usually thorough. So,
right.
Is it a downturn? I honestly look at it as I just think that there's so much right now. These companies are looking at sales. They're looking at the average buyer being priced out of a lot of their stuff just because of the way the car market has gone, which we've said ad nauseum here is probably headed for like a crash.
Right.
So do I think it's all doom and gloom for Honda? No. Is it a, alarm, like a wee woo, like, type of moment where it's, hey, you've been kind of doing this stuff and teetering with the line. Stop it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, it's also, it just seems, the Chevy small block, the Honda V6, Ford is apparently just going to Ford.
Yep. They sure will.
The thing that pisses me off the most about these Ford stupid fucking recalls is that the ring failure that affected my car is a known issue, and they still don't recall it. And this goes back to
So stupid.
the rear, the backup camera in my first Mustang. It's the same backup camera, same design, same wiring, same everything. What did they do? They issued a recall for the 2020 and newer, even though 19 and 18 was the Gen 3. Or the
Same thing.
Was the facelift of the S5. Same thing. 15 to 17, same fucking thing. It took them 2 years to do that. And I know the second I swap in a new motor, 6 months later, I'm going to get a thing. Hey, there's a recall on your engine. No, there isn't, fucktard. Although I wonder if I could use that to get a new engine.
Oh, maybe.
And then we figure out what to coyote swap in Greg's fleet.
Ideas are formulating.
It's like, okay, Jeff, here's my old engine. Put it back in the car. We take it to Ford. We get the then put the new motor in, and now we have a brand spanking new 0-mile Gen 3 Coyote lying around.
Yep, that's a pretty big thing.
I have formulated a plan. But yeah, I mean,
We'll see what happens.
wait and see what
not
happens.
great.
I mean,
Not great, but it's modern recalls. There are shit.
it is. So, but on that note,
I have finished my juice, so let's finish.
on that note, oh God, only douchebags drink wine in a stemless wine glass.
It was the only one that was clean for to defend myself.
Put it in a coffee mug.
I would, but at least there was one glass that was clean.
But on that note,
Yes.
we're going to call it an evening. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, liking, sharing, all of the fun stuff. We will be back next week with some extreme topics of potential interest. And Greg, for the one viewer, I told you to be
yes.
prepared. Your dad advice to send us out.
Yes, I have good dad advice that I have looked up this week. Yes. My dad advice this week is talk about ideas, not people. When you're talking about things, talk about the ideas and what you want to contribute as opposed to people. Don't gossip about people. Gossiping about people, not really great. It's not a good look. Talking about ideas and diversity of thought, always very good. Take that and run with it. The end.
Absolutely. The day conversation dies is the day society fails.
That's right.